Did we get that in time? Did we get that in time? Yes, we almost got that in time. Woohoo! Hey, Shira, welcome everybody to one of my favorite days in the week when we go live and we talk about all things LinkedIn. Today, Shira and I are going to be talking about all things content on LinkedIn.
My favorite.
Yeah, and the crowds go wild. Why? Because content is a very interesting space. Some can, some can't, some really battle. And the idea behind today's session is to ask you to think about where is the best place to put your time. Is it on 3 hours of writing a post, or would that be better spent focusing on commenting and building networks? So step into our little session today where we're going to talk about the two faces of content. So those of you who are watching the stream afterwards, thank you very much for joining us. That's exactly what this is all about. If you have any questions, please connect with myself or Shira. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to drop us a comment in the chat. Right, we have 30 minutes. The way we're going to do this is I've got one slide that I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to go to my profile. On my profile, I'm actually going to show you what we're talking about when it comes to content. And probably the easiest way to break this up is to separate content into two distinct sides. We have the technical side, which there are a lot of how-to videos on how to set up your post properly to get maximum mileage, exposure, and readability. The other side, the creative side, unfortunately, is the nuanced side, the side that is challenging for most people, and unfortunately is also the reason a lot of people spend endless hours working on LinkedIn to craft that absolutely perfect post, which I would advise against. But let's go through the process and you can decide for yourself. So let's do the easy part, the technical side. The technical side is pretty much a plug and play, follow the numbers kind of thing, paint by numbers. You have hooks, you have body, you have content. Your hook is in the first two lines. The idea behind the hook is really, really simple. The idea is to grab you by your eyelids and drag you into the page, or in this case, drag you to the next line. And then once you've written that line, to drag you down to the next line. That's why we say there's a lot of nuance in creating the content. The next thing is the length of the content. It's not often thought about, and sometimes people forget, between 80 and 88% of your content on LinkedIn is consumed on mobile. Now, if it's been consumed on mobile, that means when it's too long, it automatically rolls over. It creates what we call orphan words, sentences break in strange places. So we always try and say, try as best as you can, get to the 45 character limit. It tends to avoid those unnecessary breaks, particularly when you're on mobile. The other thing is your eyes need to breathe. I know it sounds strange, doesn't it? But when you're reading a solid block of text, it hurts the eyes. And I'm going to show you now the difference. And that's on my computer screen. You can imagine how much that's going to hurt when you're actually doing that on a desktop. Okay, so we're going to show you why you always have the double spaces. Something that a lot of people don't do, and it's probably because nobody's ever shown you the maths or the simplicity of it, is on your second line in the hook, try and end the word or the sentence mid-word on character 46 or 47. You're asking me why, right? You want to know why? Allow me to show you why. So I'm going to jump to my desktop quickly, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So, Shira, you can see my desktop, right? And we've just zoomed in. Excellent. So I'm going to go and start a post. I have this little tool called Authored Up, which allows me to format my content and format it in such a fashion that it works on LinkedIn. So before I zoom in, you can see clearly that we have a spaced post. We have the same post without the spacing. So let's jump in here so you can see. Okay. When you structure a post, what we talk about here is the hook, the first part of your headline, the thing that you need to grab people's attention and drag them into your post. Now, if you look at my little preview here, which Authored Up gives you, I'm able to select between mobile and desktop. Now, do you see how, let me zoom in, how Network Without Limits, it ends mid-word, mid-sentence. Think about that psychologically. When you're reading something and the sentence just like ends in the middle of nowhere, it just hangs.
You want to know more?
Of course you do. You want to push the button, don't you? So when you're writing your content, LinkedIn's editor doesn't actually show you where that line kicks over to the next line, which is why I used Authored Up, because when you structure it, character 46, give or take, it's not always exactly 46, depending on the phone, but thereabouts. So if your word disappears or breaks off the screen, exactly like it's doing here, you're instinctively going to want to click more to read. So if I go to some other drafts that I've done, so there, you can see quite clearly that sentence ends with a question mark, with a said, with a where do I go from here? And that's the idea about creating good content, is structurally, you want to make sure that your content breathes. Notice how I've got double spaces and double lines. I tend to try and avoid going more than 3 lines. So if you look at this, you can see how I've spaced the content out. Okay. If I then go to one of my other drafts, which is the one that I was busy working on. Hey, Shira, see you had a technical glitch there. So
sinus glitch.
Sinus glitch. So yeah, you can see space, hook, space, hook, space. I'm reading it. Now you can see there's a long sentence. So the question is, does that become an orphan sentence? That's why. So yes, it does. So you want to rewrite. You'd want to rewrite this so that it flows. I can carry on looking at this and I keep seeing all the little bits and pieces that make space. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen posts like that. I know I have.
Too many. And the content's great, but you're not going to read it.
Yeah, exactly. The message is lost. And the message is lost because you did not read it. The person looking at it is going, wow, it's on my phone.
That's a lot of work.
It's hard work to read that. It's exactly the same message as we got at the top here. There is a reason for it, and it's really simple. You want people to read your content. You want people to engage with your content because you've taken a lot of time to do this. And, you know, I was in a conversation the other day, and it was a very interesting conversation. I was talking to an attorney, and they gave me an indication of the time it took to write a post. It was 3 hours. You know how much an attorney charges per hour.
Sure.
Think about how much your hourly rate is, and then go, I spent 3 hours to write that piece of content and it didn't quite, and I got afraid and I stepped away and I didn't hit the publish button. So you now have written off 3 hours of your time at no benefit to you, and you've made nothing out of it. So when we look at, what's happened? There we go. Sorry, technical glitch. We had a sinus glitch and then we had a technical glitch.
The technical side. Here we go.
So we've covered the technical side, but now we go to the creative side. Okay. And this is where things start to fall apart. A good hook isn't always enough on its own. You need a scroll stopping image. But a scroll stopping image is you, and preferably you as a selfie. But LinkedIn seems to be focusing on video, I hear you say. Well, yes. LinkedIn is boosting video posts 35% more than any other type of post. Okay. I did a post 2 days ago where I did a video, and I did a video. Let me see if I can show it up. And that video had me, and then it had somebody very famous. And I had to explain the video because some people are
not as cultured.
Oh, we're going to go cultured. I was just going to go people who haven't aged out as much as me, years and decades of experience. So if you have a look at this post here, do you see that? Yep. What happened with that video? It got serious amounts of impressions. It got a lot more engagement than normal. Why? Because I had some editing done, which is great. I used my video editor, but it had engaging stuff. And it also had the LinkedIn copy trap. Copy trap. Do you see the hook? Do you see what I mean by the hook is not always going to be enough? Sometimes you need video to grab my attention, then I'll get to the hook. Then you need to remember the hook needs to end on character 46. Then you need to make sure you structure the post. Do you have something of value? And everybody's saying, talk about your USP, talk about the value. Okay, that's good. But where's the emotion? Where's the story? How are you building the tension? And one of the things I've learned personally is becoming an expert in any field is not a 5-minute exercise. I've seen copywriters that are new and battle to write. I've seen copywriters that are fairly good and still battle to write. Shira, can you see that on your screen?
I can. It's a bit small, but I can see it.
Okay. So again, this is where I'm talking about the breakdown of a post. We've got the hook where I'm saying stop pitch slapping, grabs the attention. But in this video on this post, I am actually getting slapped across the face. It's an interrupt. It stops you from scrolling. Then you read that. Then I've decided to discuss the problem about being pitch slapped. Then I've brought in the truth and the solution, and I've brought in a personal example. Then I've given you something to take out of it, and I've built in a call to action. Now, when you start building posts and you start creating content, the first thing everybody comes with is, I'm afraid to post. I'm afraid of judgment.
Do I put my name out there?
Yeah, I'm worried that people are going to think it's not good. It's okay. A lot of your content will just fly while people get used to it, while you build your community. You need to post. Why? Because you have a digital brand. And a digital brand is what you leave behind when you leave your online world. So when I engage with you on LinkedIn, and then I engage with you in the real world, and then I come back and look at you on LinkedIn, I'm going to look at you in depth. And if there's nothing about you that tells me who you are, tells me your experience in a way that I want to engage with it, there's no recommendations from people you've worked with in the past, it's going to be harder for me to engage with you. So all of this comes down to your content. Are you posting your content? Is your content sharing the right information? Is your content building their attention? We remember movies, but do you remember the last radio ad you heard? Okay, maybe you don't listen to the radio anymore. Do you remember the last ad you watched on TV?
Really giving your age away in this one.
I know. I really, yes, I am giving my age away. Damn, that's bad. So think about the last LinkedIn ad or the last Google ad you read. Did it grab your attention? For our American friends, Super Bowl Sunday just came and went. Look at the ads.
There's lots of comment about those ads.
Yeah, and a massive difference in the type of ads. But which ads do you remember? The ones that engaged you with story, with fun, with laughter, with humor. So think about that now when you're trying to create a post, okay? Then think about my friend Michael Jordan. He's taken 24,534 shots at goal in his career, according to the NBA stats. I might have gotten that wrong, but that's a heck of a lot of shots on goal. He got a 49% hit rate, i.e. 49% of those converted into points. That means less than half, not by much, but less than half converted into points. Now, what happens if you're posting once a week and your content is going up against people who've got professional copywriters doing the work for them? You're taking 3 shots a week. Our copywriter, to give you an example, namely Shira, who heads up the copy division, is taking 40 shots a day. If Shira misses half of those, 20 of them are going to land. If you've taken 3 shots a week and half of them land, you've only had 1 land, because, well, 1.5 maybe. It's bad maths, I know. Let's say you've taken a shot every week. 2 of your posts land, 2 of your posts don't land. How demotivating is that? Well, I'll tell you. You can read any of the influencers, me included. We all think about giving up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's true.
You've read the posts, right? I was going to give up on LinkedIn. Yes, it's a trend at the moment where people start by saying, I was thinking of quitting LinkedIn. Sure, you were. It's the biggest B2B database on the planet. Sure, you were thinking about quitting LinkedIn. Okay, let's stop the BS now. We know you weren't. But the point is, there are people who quit LinkedIn and come back, who quit LinkedIn some more and come back. Look at me. I signed up on LinkedIn in 2005. I thought LinkedIn was a load of crock. I still run a digital marketing agency. 25 years of experience in the digital marketing world. For me, it was all about SEO, all about content. Yes, we've got decades of experience in content. It was all about backlinks. It was all about paid media on Google Ads. LinkedIn? No. LinkedIn was rubbish. LinkedIn was a waste of time. Life moved on. I still thought LinkedIn was rubbish. COVID came.
Less rubbish.
To be fair, I thought LinkedIn might be less rubbish. And COVID left. At the end of COVID, we'd lost 90% of our business because it was all outdoor focused business. Wedding venues, events, hire, drivers. That business disappeared in a puff of smoke. Well, in an email trail of thanks, but the Prime Minister said no. Yeah, quite literally. The Prime Minister said no, put us out of business. So we had to reinvent ourselves. Luckily, we're a digital agency. Luckily, we kind of heard of this thing called LinkedIn. So we dug into LinkedIn. I can tell you that not a single client has come from any other avenue other than LinkedIn since the end of COVID. That's
Oh,
because LinkedIn is incredibly powerful. But now you've got to look at your time. Are you going to spend 3 hours every day trying to think about what you should be talking about, what you should be doing? I.e., one of the ideas when we talk about content, we talk about the 3 key pillars. One problem that you solve really well, your wins and your fails, and the lighter side of you. Okay. But how do you get that out? And haven't you ever looked at content and sometimes wondered, geez, when I spoke to that person and I read their post, it sounded like them. And how often have you thought to yourself in your head, that sounds amazing. And then you write it and you go, that didn't sound like I thought it would.
Yeah.
Why? You're not a wordsmith. My post today, I was referring to some training that I was attending where the individual delivering the training said that if you want to grow on LinkedIn, you have to become a copywriter. Okay. So if I
time for that?
Well, yeah, right. Who's got the time for that? Who's got the time to learn how to write? I mean, yes, there's only 1% of people on LinkedIn are creating content. So there's plenty of room for you to create content. But do you have the time to learn how to do that? Because I can tell you, if I had to put you in a room of your peers and ask you to talk to your peers, you're going to be on a level, no problem. But if I asked you to translate that conversation into writing and I put you in a room with a copywriter, odds are your copy is not going to come across as well as their copy. And I'm pausing because I want you to digest and think about that. Technically, I can show you how to write on LinkedIn. Sure, you can spend years learning how to write content. We've been spending years writing content. We've gotten page 1 rankings, like 4,500 page 1 rankings for our clients. That's all SEO. That's the right language. That's engaging. That's backlinks. I'm not even telling you how many posts we've written and how many impressions and views and click-throughs and engagements we've gotten for our clients, but it is in the hundreds of thousands. That's what we do. You are what? A coach, an architect, an engineer. And now you need to go and learn how to build your car so you can drive your car. That doesn't make any sense. And that's the same thing I say when it comes to content. Think about where you want to spend your time. Great content isn't about what you write, it's about how it's written.
Yeah.
And that's kind of yes, I am asking you to reach out to us if you need help with your content. Why? Because I have conversations every day. Shira has conversations every day. We look at people's profiles till our eyes bleed. Well, not quite that many, but close enough. And we run into the same problem over and over and over. The problem is my content is not good enough, so my LinkedIn profile is not working, and I'm not getting engagement and I'm not getting likes. Everybody out there is telling you, focus on your content, write great content, write great content, write great content. Or not. I'm saying if you're not a writer, please don't write great content. Talk to us. You know what I want you to do that will grow your LinkedIn profile and help you become more effective on LinkedIn? Focus on commenting. Focus on conversations. Record videos and pop them up. Have direct message conversations with people in your network. That is far more efficient and far more profitable from a time return than learning how to write content. Yeah. And I'm going to close my slides. And let's see if I can do that. There we go. And I'm going to do that. And when we think about it, we're all trying to grow the business. Everybody needs a pipeline. And everybody gets told, write content, write content, write content, write content. Oh, you didn't get it right? Keep going for 365 days. Keep going. Keep giving up 3 hours every day to write a post. You'll get better. Okay, then 2 hours, then 1 hour. It just doesn't make financial sense. Or am I missing something, Shira?
No, and I think that another part of that content, of writing your own content, is when we talk to people, what I notice is that you'll have somebody who's got an idea, they know what they're passionate about, they know what problem they solve. But when you have a conversation, where if you're in a room with people, as Kenneth was saying, is if you have that conversation, the information flows very naturally. When you sit down and you've got to now structure that in a post, because your post will be slightly different from your conversation, it is a different format, but it's a lot harder to try and think of what to say. Whereas if you've got someone having that conversation with you, which is what we aim to do, is to talk about what's going on in your business, about what excites you, about what's happening in the industry, you already know that stuff. You don't have to dig into go and learn anything, because that's what you're doing every single day. So in that half an hour, 45-minute conversation, number one, what normally happens is that you get clarity on some of the stuff that you've been looking at over the last month and wondering where it fits into your strategy for your business. But you can just have a conversation. And then after the conversation, you get your posts. And if you had to try and sit down and then think of something to talk about, the process, the creative process, is very, very different. And I think people underestimate how hard it is to sit down every other day and try and think of something to now say that you think will be worthwhile. Because a lot of people, when they do that, they're like, who's going to want to know about this? Whereas if you're talking to me, you wouldn't be thinking, am I sharing information that's even worth her hearing? But when it comes to a post, and it's going to be written down on your profile, immortalized in this, on the web, that's scary. It's very overwhelming. And it doesn't mean that you don't know your field. It just means that you're not necessarily the right person to write about that field.
Yes. And a conversation that I had on Tuesday with a customer that we're working with, the example that you gave, Shira, is like spot on. He was going through the process of trying to figure out the content, what to write, and thinking, and very often he's not alone. A lot of people overthink the content. They overthink the message. And we were having a chat and we were just shooting the breeze, and we found a space where he launched into a monologue. And I sat back and I was like, that's a perfect post. And he carried on going, and suddenly there were 10 perfect posts, all because we'd had a conversation. Now, if you're listening between the lines, one of the things that we recommend to a lot of our clients who don't have the budget to pay copywriters is to actually record meetings. Have a Zoom meeting with people in your team. Have a Zoom meeting with anybody for that matter. Jump into that Zoom, pull that Zoom out, and then throw it into something like chat. Chat will pull out all the key points. Don't you overanalyze it. Just publish it, post it. Make sure, please, look into my blue eyes. There's tears. Please let the content breathe. Make the double spaces. Let the line hang at the end. Do that, and it will make your content so much more powerful. Last word, Shira, because we're like this. We like to stick to our clock. We said 30 minutes. We ain't going to waste your time. So you've got 45 seconds, Shira. Give them
I've got 45 seconds. So I think the last word is that when you're posting on LinkedIn, you are already knowledgeable in your field. Focus on what you're knowledgeable on and think about who you're actually writing to. What are you hoping? What's the message that you're hoping to get across? So if you're going to do your own writing, what is the purpose? And I would focus more on the purpose, and then the content will flow. Whereas if you're just trying to pull a subject from thin air, you have a problem that you solve that is important to your ideal client. you need to share that with them in a way that they can digest it in your content. Done.
Fine. Brilliantly finished. Thank you, everybody, for sitting through this. And if you do have any questions, feel free, hit up myself or Shira on LinkedIn. We're always there. We do offer a free profile audit where we'll look at your profile and give you some pointers. It's only 90 seconds. But trust me, from the feedback we get, it's more than enough to get your profile moved up to the next level. So thank you very much. And remember, I almost forgot, Sherry, didn't remind me. Next week, we're talking about engagement. We're talking about where you should be spending your time. Same time, same place. Look forward to seeing you guys. Have fun.